Hello, welcome to Mrs. Pilcher's Bookshelf. I hope this finds you well. It's been a while since we've talked, so I hope you enjoy these again. I'd like to give a shout out to my friends Jack and Ellie, who are a couple of my students, so I hope you're having a great summer. Do you remember our book that we did last? The book was called Climbing Kansas Mountains. And if you've ever been to Kansas, you know we don't have mountains. This book is by George Shannon, illustrated by Thomas B. Allen. I always do this book during Kansas Week or when we celebrate Kansas Day. So my students should have known what this book was. This is the story of a little boy who, on a Sunday afternoon, is rather bored. So his dad decides to take him on a little adventure. "Sometime you and I went to climb a Kansas mountain." "Sure," I said, "and watch pigs fly," like he always did when nothing made sense. He knew Kansas didn't have any mountains. He'd help me make my flour dough map that barely had a bump. So he gets to go with his dad, ride in the car all by himself, no brothers. And they go through the town looking at the different places that they know along the way. Here is a typical small town in Kansas. And then, block after block, then over the tracks at the edge of town to the grain elevators where my father worked, moving shovel after shovel of wheat all day. When my father stopped the car and began to grin his "gotcha" grin, I suddenly knew and began to grin too. These are the mountains you were talking about. Elevator mountains filled with wheat? And we see a lot of those around here. So he and his dad climb to the top of the elevator, and his dad tells him stories about like the day he was born and he's working, and they go step after step up to the top and they look down. There were squares as smooth as fancy pants and squares plowed up like corduroy, squares with squares and swirls and stripes, all held together like our tablecloth, but with ribbons of road instead of red. All flat like the table in the dining room. A table grown so big it has no edge. A table so big the trees in town are its green centerpiece. A table so big it has a mountain of wheat for a giant to eat. A table so big. And then they go home. "Ready," I said, trying not to grin, "to drive across the table and through the centerpiece?" "Do what?" he said. Then, "Got me," as he grinned a giant grin. "Let's drive across the table to the table at home." There, he and his dad are enjoying their drive together. Ever since then, when my father says, "How's about a drive across the table to the mountains and back?" I'm the only one who knows what he really means. Sharing time together, just me, no brothers, in the big front seat. Great story about a father and son doing something together. And a great book to explore Kansas with. I hope you can find this book either at your local bookstore or through Amazon. It may be a little difficult to get, but it's a great one to add to your collection. Now, our next book does have a little connection to Kansas. It's an autobiographical book. My students should probably know this. This year we collaborated with the music teacher and the art teacher, and they did an art project and they sang songs, and I read the book, all interrelated. This is about an artist, and takes place late 1800s. I will read you the first page from this book. In the days when buffalo still roamed in the West, Our character was born in the city of St. Louis, far, far away from those western plains. He had 4 brothers and 1 sister and a pony named Jip and a dog named Teague and a mother and a father who all loved him. On rainy days, his father read stories about Davy Crockett and Daniel Moon and Kit Carson and told tales of his great uncle Bent, a fur trader in the Old West. He listened closely and drew pictures of his heroes. So even as a young boy, he was already an artist, but he really, really wants to be a cowboy. And so he does get to be a cowboy. But then later in life, things have changed in the West, and he becomes an artist. Hopefully I've given you enough clues to figure out what this book is. It may not be very well known, but I know my students know what this book is. But it's another great book to discover an artist. And part of the reason I chose it is because he does have some of his work on display at the Wichita Art Museum. Hopefully that gives you enough clues. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk with you another time.